What's up everyone, my name is Marco Landry and today I'm going to be installing the Motion Pro coolant recovery tank on my Yamaha R3. The main reason why you want to install one of these is because on the R3 you have the radiator cap on one side and you have the recovery tank on the other side, and when you're filling up you have to go on one side or the other. It's always a few extra steps, some extra time, and the coolant recovery tank right now is covered by a little plastic cap, so you can't really see the level easily. You have to take some stuff apart. It takes a bit more time and it's not very convenient when you are at the racetrack to take all of this apart, go on one side of the bike to fill the radiator, go on the other side to check the coolant recovery tank. It just makes no sense to me. So I just want to simplify the process, simplify the serviceability of the bike. And you've seen this in my previous videos. It's not always about making your bike faster. It's also about making it easier to maintain, especially when you are at the racetrack. If this is something of interest, stay tuned and we'll get started right now, and I'll show you how to install this Motion Pro coolant recovery tank on your Yamaha R3. Welcome back. So before I get started, I just want to show you what's in the box. So again, this is the Motion Pro 275cc coolant recovery tank. And when you open the box, it comes with the recovery bottle. So this is a small plastic bottle. And you have two options for the routing of the hoses. And it's clearly explained in the back of the box. And you have a few extra things in the box as well to complete the installation process. You have a few zip ties and you have some clamps for your hoses here as well. And you have a clear piece of tubing or hose. So the reason why you have so much tubing here, there's probably about 5 feet of tubing. And the reason why it's so long is because you will have one piece of tubing that will go from the radiator overflow to this recovery tank. And then after that, from the recovery tank, you'll have a little piece of hose as well that will be acting as your drain and will be going down towards your belly pan, so that if it ever overflows, your belly pan will be able to capture this liquid. So that's why you got so much of this. So this is the material that comes with the unit, and now we are ready to start the installation process. Okay, so I've removed the bodywork from the bike just to speed up the process. So you can see that my OEM recovery tank is here on the left side of the bike, and the radiator cap is on the right side of the bike. So that's what I was explaining earlier. It's a few extra steps to do the maintenance on the bike. So this is the last thing you want to do when you're at the racetrack, you're rushing to go out. You want to be able to do everything from one central location, which in my case will be on the other side. So from the recovery container, you have your overflow from the radiator coming on the left side here. And you have your drain that is on the right side. And the drain is being routed in the back, and it comes to the frame here. If you just pull on this tube here, you can see that it will come away or apart, and you can simply just pull this out here, and after that you can simply pull the bottle out. Once your recovery container or your recovery tank has been pulled like this here, you can simply pull this little tube here out of that recovery bottle. So what's going to happen here is that if I simply pull this out like this, now you can see I have my recovery bottle. And the reason why I was saying earlier that it's really difficult to see the level of your coolant in the recovery tanks, because there's this cover on top of it. So in order to see the level, you have to take it apart and look on the other side in order to see this properly. So to me, it makes absolutely no sense. So once this is done here, you will have this dangling little tube here on this side. So once you remove the container from the other side of the bike, you simply need to pull this tube here from underneath. It might be attached with a few clips. In my case, I've already removed this so many times that it's no longer attached. It's just routed at a spot where I can have easy access to it. But in your case, you might have to undo a few clips in order to pull this out of there. And once you do so, you'll be able to bring it back to the radiator overflow. And from there, you just undo it from here, and you can simply pull this cable. And after that, we will undo this clip here, and we will start the installation of our Motion Pro kit. So this is simply a matter of pulling this out here. It might be quite stiff if it's been there for a few months or a few years. And just take your time, pull it out, and before I reinstall the new one, I'll clean this up here properly to remove all the extra gunk. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the bottle itself here, and I'm gonna put it right on the side of the frame here. And from there, I'm not gonna attach it right away because I want to make sure that I can route everything properly. And earlier I mentioned that I would use the clear tube, but I also find a red tube here or red hose, and I'm going to use this one instead. It's a bit wider on the outside diameter, but the inside diameter is the same. So you can see here, this is the size, and the internal diameter is 1/4 inch. So the outside is a bit wider than the one provided by Motion Pro, but that should still work okay. So right now, I want to make sure that I'm going to have enough of that tubing, and I'll be able to route it properly without some crazy bend radius. So I'm going to go from the radiator exhaust port here, and when you push this cable or this hose in the recovery tank, it has to go right at the bottom. So I'm gonna have a loop like this here, so it's gonna look like that type of loop here, and that should work okay. And from that point, after that, I'll go from the back of the bottle, and I'm gonna route this right along my radiator hose. I'll probably zip tie this to the radiator hose here, and I'm gonna route it right at the bottom here so that it can overflow in the belly pan. Actually, there's one more thing here I forgot to mention, is that we will also need to drill a small hole in the bottle here. So you have two options, as I mentioned earlier. You could have your hose coming out of here, or it can be coming out of the top here. So in my case, I prefer to have it coming out of the top, so I'll just drill it here, and that's going to be my drain hose that will connect to this one. The next step now, as I mentioned, is to drill a small hole in that nipple at the top of the bottle here, and this hole will be drilled with a 1/8 of an inch bit here. So I'm gonna line this up properly here. Just want to make sure that I'm lined up properly here, right in the middle. There we go. Okay, so now we have our 1/8 of an inch hole that's been drilled into this nipple here. So now we are ready to complete the installation process. I'm going to take the zip ties, and I'm going to attach just one zip tie for now. And this one will just allow me to set up everything. And after that, I'll finish securing everything in place. So the first step is I want to measure the amount of tubing required to go from the radiator overflow to the recovery tank. And as I mentioned earlier, I will include a nice bend radius that's not too sharp. So that's the distance I need here. So I have my knife here with a really sharp blade, and I'm going to cut it at a small angle so that when I push at the bottom, if it's really pushed against the bottom, it will still be able to pull and push some liquid easily. So this is what it looks like here. So we can see this little angle here. And I'm going to make sure that the other side is flush, is like 90 degree. And I'm going to take one clip for one end. So I'm going to insert this little clip at one end here. And I'm going to slide it down. I'm going to push this in here. Now I want to insert the hose into this cap, and that's going to be a bit challenging because the diameter is a bit bigger than the diameter from the tube supplied by Motion Pro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside and get a bit of soap, put some soap and water, and that should slide in a bit more easily. Okay, so now I simply have a glass of water with some dish soap. I'm going to soak this in, and I'm also going to soak my tube here, or my hose. And let's see if that's going to be a little bit easier to slide in. All right, so this is, I think this is the right length now. Maybe a bit more. Here we go. So when I put this in here like this, it should be the right length. All right, so the next step now is to set up the right length for this hose here. And same thing here, I want to make sure I will have a nice bend radius. And I'm going to use one of these little clips again, the hose clip. I'm going to insert it on top of the hose, and I'm going to push it on top of that nipple on the tank here. And this one's a bit tight, so I'm going to use my pliers to push that clamp on top of that little bump there in the nipple. I think what I'm going to end up doing is that I'm just going to push it on the other side here of the frame, just below the tank. And I'm going to have a small bend radius like this here, and I'm going to attach it on that radiator hose right here. So I'm going to take a zip tie, and attach it here. All right, so that's what it's going to look like. So now I can secure my recovery tank in place properly. So I'm going to put one extra zip tie in there just to make sure that everything is solid. There we go. I think this is going to be quite nice after that. So my hose is a bit long now, so it's still going to be hidden and out of sight in the belly pane. So I think it should be okay like this. I'll leave it like this for now, and if it's too long, I'll cut it to length after that. So the next step now is that I can put some coolant in my recovery tank. So I'm just going to grab a bit of coolant. So I have a little bit of water with some water wetter here, so I'm going to use this for now. Alright, and I'm going to reinsert that hose and make sure that the cap is properly secure in place here. When you do this, you want to make sure that it clips all around the edge of the opening for the tank itself. Otherwise, if it's not secured properly, it's going to lift up and then it's not going to work as it should. All right, so now I can take my side cutters and cut all the extra ends of the zip ties here. This is the final product here. Make sure that all the clips are properly secure in the right location. The tank is solid. The overflow hose is on the right location. There's a nice bend radius in the hose that goes from the radiator to the tank. So I think I'm done. All right, folks, that was it. That was a process to install the coolant recovery tank on my Yamaha R3. So as you can see, it was an easy process. That's probably one of the easiest things you can do on your bike. It took me no longer than 15 minutes. I think it's going to take you more time to remove your bodywork than to install the recovery tank itself. It's not going to make your bike faster, but it will definitely make your life easier when you're doing maintenance on your bike. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please post them below or connect with me on social media. If that video was helpful, please do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, stay safe, ride safe, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.